Crews battle the clock in the Gulf of Mexico, hoping to keep a massive oil spill from reaching wildlife habitats and fisheries on the coastlines of several states. At least one more leak was discovered from the exploded Transocean rig, leaving far more oil leaking than was originally thought. That after the Coast Guard set fire to oil floating on Gulf waters. 16 federal agencies are involved, and more than 1,100 workers are fighting back the oil. The Interior Department ordered immediate safety inspections at all deepwater Gulf oil rigs. And in Washington, it's the debate over the future of offshore drilling that's heating up. Clean Skies Dan Goldstein explains.
The spill in the Gulf of Mexico is a nightmare. Oyster and crab fisherman Mike Vlausant is worried for his business.
And the winds push it inland. We could have some real challenges in the fishing community.
The spill is so large, the federal government might have to take over the cleanup.
My administration will continue to use every single available resource at our disposal, including potentially the Department of Defense.
And British Petroleum, which leased the rig from Transocean, and the Coast Guard say they don't know when the oil leak will be plugged.
We're assuming worst case, so we will be prepared for that.
The Louisiana oil disaster may have also hurt the prospects for more offshore oil drilling, especially here in Washington. President Obama had hoped to entice more Democrats and Republicans to support his energy and climate bill in return for more offshore drilling. Now it appears more regulation instead could be on the way.
I think it becomes part of the debate, and that's the way that, these things happen. Something happens and it has to then be incorporated into the debate.
I think everybody's going to take a second look.
Randall Luthi is former head of the Minerals Management Service, which regulates offshore drilling. Now head of the National Ocean Industries Association, or NOIA. He says a fatal incident like this one needs time for an investigation to make sure it doesn't happen again.
And I think what you're going to find out is you have an industry that overall has a very good history. At this point, can we explain why that occurred? We cannot. Will we be able to in the near future? I hope so.
Already questions are being raised about BP's safety record in the Gulf and about the technology the industry said would prevent blowouts like the 1969 Santa Barbara spill, which leaked more than 3 million gallons. House Energy Committee Chairman Henry Waxman already has demanded data about the company's emergency response plans for rig accidents. Luthi, who ran MMS for the last 2 years of the Bush administration, defended regulators.
The MMS at the time, and still does, often does surprise inspections, as well will actually have what they call response drills, and without any warning whatsoever will enact, say an accident has occurred, and they will then evaluate how the companies respond.
BP has been cited for safety violations in the past on its rigs, but none in the last 3 years. It was a finalist for Industry Safety Awards this year and 2009. In 2007, the company was slapped with $41,000 in fines for a 2002 incident that caused a near blowout. In that case, MMS cited BP and its subcontractor, Diamond Offshore Drilling, for having, quote, no formal procedures and no written guidelines for an emergency. In separate incidents, BP was also fined for bypassing safety alarms and having insufficient pressure in a fire hose system in 2003.
It's really a big wake-up call for people because
Jackie Savitz, who heads the environmental group Oceana, says she's planning to use the Louisiana spill as an opportunity to get Virginia to rethink its own plans, as well as getting the White House to reconsider drilling in the eastern Gulf of Mexico.
There's nothing that's been promised by the Obama administration. They've said that they're going to look at opening the Atlantic coast, look at opening the west coast of Florida, but that's a lot of looking, and it's not necessarily a guarantee.
So far, the Gulf disaster has not changed Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell's mind. He told a local radio station he's still committed to drilling by 2012. And the White House has said it wants to wait until the investigation is complete before making any changes.
If people do take a look at what's happening and decide that expanding drilling into, say, the coast of Virginia, for example, is not something they want to see, they don't want to see an accident like this off the coast of Virginia, we still have the opportunity to convince the administration not to go that direction.
The latest spill is also a reminder about how volatile the politics of oil can be. The industry and its backers had hoped the grainy images like the 1969 Santa Barbara blowout would fade into history. Now in an instant, those forgettable images are back, this time in high definition. In Washington, Dan Goldstein, Clean Skies News.
BP CEO Brian Todd last week on CNN blamed Transocean, which operated the rig on behalf of BP, saying the accident could have been prevented. BP, Transocean, and MMS all declined to talk on camera with Clean Skies News.